In this video, I'm going to briefly go through the syllabus so that you have some time to review it and hear me talk about it before class on Wednesday. Since we missed our first class together, I didn't want to devote as much time to the syllabus on the 29th. However, if we end up having lots of questions, we'll spend time on it. We'll make it work. But this video will give you some time to think through it prior to us being together. Our class is a hybrid course, which means that some classes may be online and some classes may be face-to-face. Some hybrid courses, the classes are almost half and half online, half face-to-face. Others, there are more face-to-face instances. In our course, we will have more face-to-face instances than online, and I'll tell you the times that we will be online. But when we are online, I will have a module available for you so you know exactly what to do, and it'll be something you work on at your own time and then submit by the due date. So we'll get to that, but let's look at the first part of the syllabus. You see that my office is in Main Hall. It's actually right a couple steps down from where we meet for class. At least the last time I looked, it was in Main Hall 205. I'll make sure I double check that, and you also make sure you double check that before coming to class, because sometimes they move us around without me knowing. So you always need to check. But it says we're in Main Hall 205. That's the second floor of Main Hall, and 205 overlooks the square that we share with Old Salem. So it'll be overlooking Old Salem. I wrote that on here that for office hours, I wrote preferably by appointments, and email me. That way I know you're coming and I can set aside time for you, and I don't just let someone else come in and start talking to me when you really needed to talk to me. But if you do need to drop by and talk to me, I will always be in my office before class starts on Wednesdays, so you can use that time to pop in. Otherwise, it would be best if you would email me. That way, that time is reserved just for you and we can talk. I'd rather you not use my office phone because I'm in and out so much. I often find that I see a message and it's 2 days later from the time that someone left it there, and I just hadn't ever been over to my phone to look because maybe I was in my office for 5 minutes one day, or maybe I wasn't in it at all. So if you'll email me, that's the best way to contact me, because I can always answer email no matter where I am, and I can get right back to you. And then that way, if it's a question, you'll know, whereas you would have to wait if you tried to call my phone. There are 2 textbooks for this course. Both of them are small, and which I don't think they're as expensive as other ones, which is a good thing. And they're pretty practical, so I think that you'll enjoy them. Let me know if you're having trouble accessing them, but I would like you to try to have them by this upcoming Wednesday. Also, I put on here that if possible, I would like for you to bring a device to class. It can be a laptop, a tablet like an iPad, or even just your smartphone, because we will often pull up a variety of resources, but especially the standards that are associated with the grade and content area you want to teach. You are welcome to print all those out and have them with you as hard copies if you'd rather access them that way. But I think that if you can bring a laptop, tablet, or smartphone, that would be the easiest thing to do. You can read through some of these other sections that have the paragraphs, like the course description. The main goal of our course is to examine instructional design models, curriculum and assessment. So we're going to be looking at what is a standard, a content standard that guides what we teach, the what of teaching. We're going to look at the how of teaching. So what do lesson plans look like? What does lesson plan implementation look like? What are strategies for you to use when you're teaching your lesson? We're going to look at assessment. So how do we know the students know what we want them to know, can do what we want them to do? And we're also going to start thinking about the EdTPA portfolio, which is a requirement for licensure in North Carolina. And will be done in student teaching, but we'll start thinking about that now so that you're prepared for that. So some of the things I skim over, you can read these. There is field experience in this course, as there is in almost every education course. And field experience means that it is a chance for you to get out in the schools and either observe or teach a practice lesson, or work with a student one-on-one, and then all the way to student teaching. So in our course, we will start, because it's one of the first courses, it's near the beginning of the program, we'll start with observations. So you'll be visiting schools to observe, and I'll tell you more about that as we get to that and as we're together. You can read through some of the learning outcomes. I'm also only going to highlight a few of these expectations and policies because you can read through them. Some that I want to highlight are communication. Communication is very important to me, and I will email you often. Maybe not as often if this were completely online, because there are a lot of things I can tell you face to face, but I'll often send email reminders, and I expect you to read them. I wouldn't send them if I didn't expect you to read them. Sometimes I can get wordy, and I try not to make my emails too long, but whatever I'm saying with a purpose. So make sure that you're checking your email often, you're checking EDU 2.0 often, and that you're actually reading those things that I send, because there's a reason why I'm sending them. Also, with communication, make sure that you email me if there's a situation that causes you to not be able to come to class or to not be able to submit your assignment on time. I would much rather you email me ahead of time and tell me than for for example, if it's an assignment, for it to just not be there and I don't know what's going on, because that just makes me assume that you didn't do it or you blew it off, and that's not the way you would want someone to think about you. So let me know. I would rather know, and then I can work with you to figure something out, because I'm more than happy to work with you. I just want to know. I want you to communicate with me so that I can work with you. Oh, down here it says that late work submitted will lose points. So make sure that you try your best to submit work on time. However, if it has to be late and there isn't a strong reason why, if there's a major reason and you've communicated with me, then there's a chance I might not take any points off. But if it's just late because you forgot or something like that, that's okay. You might lose a point or two, but still submit it, because a point or two off, you might still have an A on it. It's much, much better than having a 0. So please don't be afraid to turn work in late. I do accept it, but you need to communicate with me, okay? I doubt we'll have inclement weather, but I left that on there. That's probably more for spring, but that's on there just so you see. You are expected to attend every class, especially because some of our classes are online. It's important for you to be there when we're face-to-face. However, I know life happens, so again, communication is important to me. I want to know if you're going to miss class so that we can work through whatever it is that you need to do to satisfy that. you are going to miss something important. So I would never email a professor and say, let me know if I missed something important, because yes, you're going to miss something important. Because just like a teacher, any teacher, and just like you will as teachers, I do plan all of our classes. I write a lesson plan for them so that I know exactly what I want to get done, and everything has a purpose. So you do need to attend class, or otherwise you are going to miss something important. But like I said, I know life happens. I have children and a family, and I know things happen. As you know, I had to go to open house last week. So if you have to miss, communicate and we'll work it out. However, you are graded on your participation and attendance. So we'll talk more about that, but make sure that you do your best to come to class so that that doesn't hurt your grade. This is a breakdown of our major assignments and the percentage they will count toward your grade. I deleted the due dates because I'm still trying to piece together exactly how I want it to fit so that I'm not bombarding you with too much at a time, but that it also gets us to where I want us to be by the end of the semester. So I will give you these due dates when we are together on Wednesday. I actually might have them posted before then, but definitely by Wednesday. So we'll look at them together and you'll know when everything is due ahead of time. But then also, I always provide much more information as we're going. So you'll know much more about it, not just from the syllabus, but from things we talk about in class, emails I send, so that it won't be something that you're not quite sure what to do. You'll know exactly what to do. And I'll also have rubrics for all of these things so that you'll be able to see how you'll be assessed. So I am going to look at attendance, class attendance and participation at midterm and at the end of the course. So, at midterm, if you're not doing so well, maybe you can change it and make sure you're there for the rest of the semester. And so we'll talk more about that. That's 5% of your grade. You'll have a test on backward design, which is a key component of this course. And it will occur earlier in the semester, probably in September, but that's what we'll be focusing on the most in our first few classes together. So you'll be prepared for it as long as you come to class. You'll have an assignment that has to do with assessment. You'll have 2 observation reflections, and those will go with the 2 visits that you'll have to a classroom that you will be assigned by me and by Dr. Beam. So I will tell you a little bit more about that when we meet. But Dr. Beam is our clinical coordinator, and she assigns all of our placements in schools in all of the classes. So she matches teachers and schools to Salem classes so that we aren't using the same schools, so that multiple classes aren't trying to bombard the same teachers. So I will get a list from her of teachers who we're assigned to, and then I'll match them to you based on what you want to teach. And then you'll go visit those schools throughout the semester, just 2 times. So that's not a lot, just 2 visits total. And then you'll have 2 reflections of those visits. And I'll give you more information about those reflections, and I will have a rubric for them as well. You'll have 2 lesson plans that you will write, and I'll talk a little bit more about them when I scroll down. You will teach one of those lessons, probably just a part of it, and videotape it and model it for the class. And the reason we add the video in it is because that is a component of EdTPA, which is a portfolio you'll do during student teaching for your license. And we want to have some opportunities to practice that before you get to student teaching. So this is one of those opportunities for you to practice. So you're going to do a practice lesson, but it won't be in front of K-12 students. It'll be in front of your peers. And then that gives you a chance to practice with the video, without having to have video release forms from students, and then also practice uploading the video so that you're able to do it when you student teach. And then the final project is also associated with the EdTPA portfolio, and that's your commentary assignment. There is no final exam in this course. It will be this assignment, and much more information will come as we progress through the semester. So you'll see as you scroll through these sections, this is more detail about everything I just discussed. This talks some more specifics about class attendance and participation. Now with the class attendance, again, more than anything, communication is what matters to me. So it doesn't matter, if you're going to be late or you have to leave early, or if you communicate with me and we're on the same page, this isn't going to matter as much to me about the logistics and the specifics of me. I don't care if you're 10 minutes late if you talk to me about it. Okay, so I hope through this video you have heard several times that communication is very important to me, and I want to know what's going on if there's an issue. Then you see the tests, and that's something we'll talk about later. You see that the observations, we'll talk more about that when we're together in class. Same with your assessment assignment, your lesson plans. So your lesson plans will go together. They will be a two-part learning segment. And a learning segment is like a unit. And that also might be a word you're not familiar with, but all those words will be words we discuss when we're in class together. And so the lesson plans will be, lesson 1 will be day 1, and lesson 2 will be day 2, and they'll go together. And that also corresponds with EdTPA. And so that's something that we'll work on together as the semester progresses, and you'll learn from me how to write a lesson plan. So don't worry if you're thinking, I have no idea where to start. That's okay, because that's what my job is, to help you figure out where to start and what to do with that. And talks about your video, and I'll talk more about that, and same with the commentary assignment. Something to note about the grading scale: if you are at the graduate level, which would be 530, undergraduate level is 330, and note that it's still the same course. There might just be slight differences in the guidelines for assignments. So some assignments may have different requirements depending on what course you're in, even though we're all in the same course. We're all working toward getting our license and being a teacher. But some of us are at the MAT level, and some of us are at the FLIR or traditional undergrad level. But the one difference between the two grading scales is that if you are at the graduate level, you may not earn anything lower than a C. Otherwise, it turns into an F. So make sure you pay attention to that. And just know that if for whatever reason you have a C, even a C minus, because I had experience with that this summer, a C minus D or D really is an F when I go to put it in to the final grades for the registrar. But because I can only put one grading scale in EDU 2.0, I have to go with the undergraduate grading scale for everyone. So a D may show up for you, but just know that it's really an F if you're at the 530 level. If you're at the 330 level, you can make a D. Although I hope you won't make a D. I hope we'll all be up here, and then we don't have to worry about it. So in this section, I normally have a very detailed course outline with each class and the topic and the due dates. And one of the reasons why it took me so long to get to this is because I've been playing with it and playing with it and playing with it, and I'm not happy with it, so I deleted it. And I decided to just go ahead and give you this video with some important course dates that you can put on your calendar. And then I will have a new syllabus with all of your due dates on Wednesday, because I want to make sure the readings correspond how I want them to, and this is just me being crazy about it, but I want it to be the right one the first time it gets in your hands. So that will come on Wednesday, but a couple of dates I want you to go ahead and think about. September 19th, we do not have class. That's because all classes are canceled that day due to Fall Fest, which is something our undergraduate students participate in. So that's not something I have any control over. Classes are just canceled across campus on Wednesdays, or on Wednesday, a Wednesday in the fall, and this time it's September 19th. So just expect to not have class that day. On October 3rd, we're going to be online. So that means we do have class, but you'll have something to do that's online. We won't meet on campus. And so you'll have something that will be due on EDU 2.0. October 10th, which is the following week, we don't have class on Wednesday. Instead, our class is going to count on Thursday, which is the required Comenius Symposium. So for those of you who have been here prior to this semester, you know that every fall the Education Department has the Comenius Symposium and that you are required to attend by Dr. Long, and she will take attendance. Normally, a trade-off for that is professors cancel their class so that you'll go to that instead. So we're not going to have class on Wednesday. Instead, our class is Thursday at the symposium, which I will talk to you more about when we get closer to it. But it's at 6 o'clock and it's in the Fine Arts Center, and it's that Thursday the 11th. Then October 31st, I decided to make that online just because it is Halloween, and I know that some of you, including me, have children, and that might be an issue to have class on Halloween. So I didn't want to cancel it completely, so I decided that we would have an online class that night, and that is a good chance for us to be working on our lesson plans. So just expect to be online. I won't make anything due that night because you might be out trick-or-treating with your children, but something will be due that week in place of class. Then November 21st, we don't have class because of Thanksgiving break. Those should be the only days that you really need to know that we don't have class. Otherwise, everything else is a due date related to readings or assignments. So those will come when we meet on Wednesday, and I'll have a detailed course outline for those. You do not have anything due this Wednesday other than I want you to read the syllabus and watch this video and then come with questions so that I can hit those highlights, and then we can just hit the ground running with the rest of the content. So let me know if you have any questions. You're welcome to go ahead and email me, but you also can wait until Wednesday when we're together, and then I'll answer your questions for everyone. So please, I just want to say one more time that a lot of information will come about every assignment. So don't think that the syllabus is the little piece of information you're going to get about your lesson plan or the backwards design test or the commentary. Much more information will come. I'll explain it in class. I'll send you emails, and you'll have a rubric. So there shouldn't be any question about what you're supposed to do once I give you all those things. Okay? So I'll see you on Wednesday, and let me know if you have any questions.